I hate vacation Wi-Fi. Like, it's the most embarrassing thing to be near.
She likes your wet burrito?
You're a Mexican restaurant and she loves your wet burrito. I get it.
It's Faction Talk. Jim Norton and Sam Roberts. Covino and Rich. Bennington. The Jason Ellis Show. Faction Talk. Uncensored and on demand with the SiriusXM app.
The 2000s are back. And so are Gigi, Beyonce, Usher, and Rihanna. Along with the rest of the pop hits that shaped the sound of the new millennium. SiriusXM's Pop 2K, a non-stop commercial-free flashback to the era of boy bands.
Seeing some of the same names every day. There's my friend Chip Weiss again. Chip, let me turn, I was listening to Bennington. Don't hate me, I was listening to Satellite. I'm listening to the Bennington show. Those guys have turned out to be pretty good friends, personal friends, kind of cool, because I listened to their show for like 10 years, and I always used to think, wow, it'd be so cool to hang out with those guys and maybe have a beer with them or whatever. And then somehow magically through Moon Tower a couple of years ago, we connected with the Bennington show, and I did get to be friends with Ron Bennington and Vito and Chris Stanley and Gail, and we stay in touch and email and exchange stuff. So it's been super cool for me to, idolize someone in the same business I'm in, and then get to kind of hang out with them at Moon Tower and stuff like that. So that's why I was listening to that. So how you guys doing out there? I was going to tell you about Chip. Chip used to do the music and sound effects with me when I was PA announcer for the Ice Bats for, I think I did it for 8 or 9 years. I think Chip bounced out at year 5 or 6 or something. I can't remember. But we used to be down there on the ice in this extremely cold open air, at the time, Travis County Expo. I don't know what Exposition Center. And we used to do the games, and we had some good times. Made a little extra scratch and got to be a part of something for a while. It eventually fizzled out, but those first 2 or 3 years with the Ice Bats were pretty phenomenal. It was a lot of fun, and all the right people were going, and then it turned into something else. But I stuck with it for a while for the money, obviously. I'm basically a whore, but I had a good time, and still have some friends from there, like Norma Jean and Chip, and run into some people. So how you doing out there? What's going on? I was a little crazy today. Woke up again, scenarios running through my head, most of them not good, and so woke up with some tension. Might have had to do with the Jameson I was drinking last night in the backyard. Built a little fire, had a couple neighbors come over. We kept our social distance in our plastic chairs and listened to some tunes, and just had a little St. Patrick's Day, so that was good. But I might have been one Jameson over my personal line, and so maybe that's why I kind of woke up early with some kind of negative thoughts that have since pushed back in my head, but they're still there. Did some yoga very early on. Again, just trying to clear my head, trying to get my breathing right. I haven't done much yoga in the past, only in the last year or so. I've tried to dabble in it, and now I'm doing it at home. I used to do it at HCI, Hill Country Indoor, which is obviously closed now. That's my gym in Bee Cave. But hi, Christy. How are you and Scooter doing? Yeah, so I did some yoga today. It turned out to be like a 45-minute online class. By about 30 minutes in, my arms and legs were shaking a little bit. So don't be fooled. Yoga is a pretty good workout, and I don't think I was even doing any crazy poses. But I found this fantastic instructor. It was actually an Austinite, and if anyone knows her, please let her know that I'm plugging her shit, because it's pretty good, and it's very relaxing and therapeutic. But I think it's Yoga with Adrian, Vol.1, and she's a Austin person. She's got like 6 million subscribers, so she's like top of the game. But I don't know, it's just enjoyable, and she's very motivating and very calming, and that's exactly what we need right now. I kind of wish she had some live content, and maybe she does. Maybe somebody can turn me on to that, because I'd like to know what her perspective is. I'd like to, get something that's more up to date with today's times and today's situation and all that. And then I tinkered around the house, cleaned up, did some laundry, did some folding, all exciting stuff, right? My wife's up early working, kids sleeping, and then went out for a 2-mile run, 2.5 miles, I guess it turned out to be, with the cool down. And again, my philosophy there, if I can run 2 miles, I'm probably okay. The lungs are okay. But have not looked at the stock market today, have not looked at the news today. I have to distance myself from that stuff once in a while. In fact, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, because, I'm looking for distractions, not only for myself, but for my kids. By the way, representing Slab today with my I wear a protective hat every day now. Every little bit helps. But shout out to my friends at Slab. They're really good people, and they've really we've really gotten attached to them on the show, and they've gotten attached to us, and it's a good partnership. And even though formally they're not advertisers, they do some nice things for us and help us out now and again. So shout out to Jason and all the crew there. And you might have seen me on their episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, where I had to eat 2 slab sandwiches in about a 20-minute period for the camera, and man, I had the meat sweats. That's inside baseball. Did not get to meet Guy Fieri, though. He was long gone. But so trying to find distractions. Talked to Caden just before I left, and I am running late today. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just messing around, reading on the Kindle and making a little lunch for my wife, and then I look at the clock, it's like 5 minutes to 2. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I should arrive at work just about 10 minutes till, probably, but I'm on Bee Cave Road now. So I was talking to Caden, and I said, "Hey man, let's watch something together. Let's binge watch, or let's watch a movie, or something you've got to watch for class," because he's got a lot of film classes. I think he has a Wes Anderson class right now, or a Jim Jarmusch class, or something. I said, "Let's watch a movie," and he goes, "Let's watch Game of Thrones." I'm like, Here's my dilemma. I'm trying to keep my head straight. I'm trying to keep my head in the game. I don't want to watch anything in general that's too heavy, because there's enough heaviness in the world. I don't want anything that's too lighthearted or silly. I don't want to watch any stupid comedy. And it seems like that's what you would go to in this kind of environment, but I don't think I could get through a silly comedy. It just wouldn't feel right, fake laughing to stupid jokes. If I had my perfect world, I would probably just line up every Cameron Crowe movie, including Elizabethtown, and just watch those, because it just feels like it's slice of life. It's humorous, it's real, it's dramatic, it's a little bit fantastical. In fact, I saw Jerry Maguire pop up on my Netflix recommendations the other night. Man, I was tempted. If it hadn't been so late, I probably would have started it. But we got Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He wrote that. We've got Singles. It's middle of the road. Jerry Maguire. What am I missing? Elizabethtown has its moments. People hate that movie. And people hate Cameron Crowe for that movie, but I found some good in it. I like Alec Baldwin's character, and I like the band Ruckus. Almost Famous. I mean, how many times have I seen Almost Famous? I saw it. You know who I saw it with the first time when it came out? The weekend it came out back in the 90s. I saw it with Andrew Shapter. The only time Andrew and I ever went to a movie together, we saw Almost Famous. The only time we went to a concert together, we saw Bruce Springsteen. That's pretty amazing. Two of my favorite things I saw with one of my favorite people who's no longer with us. And we just hooked up on the best stuff. And it wasn't even by design. It was completely accidental. But checking here, I'm at 360 and BK, about ready to turn on 360. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to start Game of Thrones tonight. 8 seasons, 10 episodes a season. I don't know if my heart's in the 80 episodes of dragons and fire-breathing stuff. Can't I just watch Almost Famous for the 21st time? Can we just do that and enjoy that and do all the lines out loud? You can't do Game of Thrones line out loud, can you? I don't know. I'm just trying to keep my head in the game, man. I'm trying to keep motivated. I feel like the family depends on me. I was thinking today, though, who's watching out for me, right? Who's who's got my back? I'm trying to support my wife and trying to support the people on the show and try to shelter my kids somewhat from what's going on. You know, I don't know how it's set in. I don't know how terrified they are or not terrified. And it's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a long haul, and got to find the joy in things, and we got to find the things that used to make us happy. I'm trying to find the things that used to make me happy as a kid or as a young adult. Listening to albums front to back. Watching good movies over and over again. And I was thinking today, I was running. I'm sorry if I'm getting guitar store or guitar church preacher again. But I was running today, and I'm not going very far. I'm just kind of limiting myself between 2 and 3 miles, though I think I have a range. I used to run consistently about 5 or 6 a day, 4 days a week or so, before my feet, my knees just couldn't take it anymore. But I'm trying to limit myself to 2. But I notice when I run, I have horrible form. I'm very slow. I run a 12-minute mile. I'm not trying to break any records. I'm just trying to breathe and put some yards behind me. But I have horrible form. I notice I'm looking down all the time. I'm looking at the ground. I'm looking at my feet. My head's down. That can't be good form. I'm looking maybe 3 feet ahead of me at any given time. I'm just a lazy runner. I should have my chest out there, my head high. But I read an article once that talked about how most of us can go through an entire day and not look up, not look into the sky, not see the clouds. And there's something therapeutic and healing about, and that's what this article was saying, about every once in a while just stop what you're doing. Take your eyes off of the earth, where all your problems are, where all your problems are. And look upward. Helps your breathing, opens up that breathing passage. It puts your mind on something else other than your earthly problems, and kind of connects you more with the universe, I guess. I mean, I'm assuming that's what it is. And, you know, all the space that's out there. And how you're a part of that big universe. And we're all part of the universe, all made of the same stuff. And that's where the connection is. And so I made it a point, at least on the second half of my run, to lift my head up and notice the clouds, notice the sky, as gray as they were. And something you might try, or not. Doesn't matter. But something I read, and I was reminded of it today as I was beating myself up for my horrible form. just about ready to go over the Pennybacker Bridge. What else? Oh, I wanted to address the shaky camera. So here's, obviously I'm shooting on my iPhone, Facebook Live. I have this little, and I'm in a Jeep Wrangler 4-door. So that's lifted and has 35-inch tires and all that stuff. So it's not the most luxurious ride, you know. But I have the phone connected with a little CD. I don't know if you've seen these CD adapters. It slots in, the phone holder slots into the CD slot on your CD player there, and then you kind of wedge it in there and expand a tab and lock it in. And so every bump that the Jeep makes gets transferred to the phone. So it's a combination of the mount I'm using and a combination of just the Wrangler not being the smoothest ride out there, but they're hell of a lot of fun. So that's that. Somebody asked about that. I want to see here. We're kind of slowed down on 360. A lot of traffic. I don't know where people are going right now, but if anybody has any questions about the show or what we've been doing lately, I think we had a really good time, especially the second half of the show yesterday. Anytime we talk about music, because we all come from so many different backgrounds. I wanted to talk about background a little bit in the last portion of this drive. But we all come from different backgrounds and have different musical tastes, and so when we get together and talk about that stuff, it's always a lot of fun. And that was kind of our second half of the show yesterday, even though we were doing the saddest songs we know, and the listeners were contributing. It was fun, and we had a little shot of Jameson on the way out the door, and it was a good St. Patrick's Day show. But I wanted to shout out my last leg here, because I've noticed over the last few days some I don't know if they were high school buddies. Some were high school buddies, I guess. Some people that went to my high school. So let me explain, if you got a minute, about my high school days. Now, Dale has talked a lot about his days and wherever he was, Tyler or whatever. But a lot of people don't know my background when it came to high school. All 4 years of my high school, 9th grade through graduation, I was in England. And my dad was stationed at a place called RAF Lakenheath, Royal Air Force, an American base in England. Flew mostly F4s. F4s. And then I think they added F-111. So it was a fighter, it was a tactical base, I believe. My dad was more of a supply guy, so I don't know how he ended up I guess they need supply, but we ended up in a tactical base. And so I did all my high school there. And this Lakenheath American High School was an American school with American teachers for the most part. And it was more like a college campus because it had dormitories. Now, I happened to live on the base where the school was, so I got to go home every night, sleep in, my own bed. But about half of the student population were from other bases in England and were either 5-day dormies who went home on the weekend, or 7-day dormies if they lived in some place like Scotland. If their dad was stationed at a submarine base in Scotland or something, they were there 7 days a week. So I had friends that lived on the base, friends that lived in the dorm that went to the school, and it was more like a college campus. And our mascot was the Lancers, kind of like a jousting dude. And we had football. I didn't play football. Didn't officially have high school baseball. And so that was kind of my existence for 4 years, between 70 and 74. And the only reason I bring that up, because I noticed there have been a few people have been pinging me from the high school, and I follow some people. And for years and years, none of us kept track. Before social media, you just said your goodbyes. You did your 3 or 4 years. Somebody left in your junior year, your best friend left in your sophomore or junior year, and you got new friends, and you said goodbye, and you really didn't stay in touch. There was really no way other than handwriting letters to stay in touch with your classmates. So we just said goodbye and went our own way. And over the years, we've had reunions. I've only been to a couple, but we've had reunions around the country in different cities, because everybody I went to high school is spread all over the world. So that's it. That's the story of Lakenheath American High School, and that's where I was a very I was a C student, yeah, pretty much. I did have classes where I shined. I was good in journalism, and we started a film class, and it was a good experience, but far from home. Well, I didn't have home. I say far from home. Where was my home? I didn't have a home. I never had a home. People ask me, where are you from? Good question. Pick a city. I don't know. I'm not from anywhere. So I enjoyed the movement. I enjoyed the fact that I could reinvent myself every 4 years if things weren't going well in a place. Not to worry, you're going to move. So, just check and see I'm sorry I don't see a lot of these messages, but there's Kelly Russell. See, she's from Lakenheath. I don't know. I mean, I have you remember Mr. Albert? He was very influential. My theater teacher and my film teacher was very influential in my life. I think a lot like Dale's theater teacher. Something about theater teachers that just connect with you and resonate with you. Like I never resonated with my math teacher or my geography teacher. I did have a literature teacher, and I don't remember her name, but she was kind of a hippie, and she was super cool, and she used to buy me books and give me books as gifts, and it's like went above and beyond the teacher thing, and that was cool. And then Mr. Albert, but I don't know, man, it was such a great experience. Our school was so cool because it was military based. I don't remember seeing any racism. I don't remember ever seeing any fights. It was like we all knew that we were, I don't want to say working together, but we all knew that we were we had a common cause, which was basically survival until we got back to the world, which is what we called the United States. And I don't know why, looking back, I wish I had embraced my years in England more, because I didn't even know where I was going to end up in the United States after England. I knew I had to go to college. I had no idea where to go to college, so I picked a college because I didn't know where my dad was going to be stationed next, where my family was going to be. Could have been anywhere. And that was the days before FedEx and fax machines and stuff, and I remember several colleges in the United States, and by the time I got the acceptance letters, they had already expired because the mail moved so slow getting overseas. So I ended up, as I talked yesterday, going to Syracuse for the first year because I had family nearby in Utica, New York, the Italian side of the family, and so I knew I'd be close to family. And Syracuse had a very good film program, very good television program. Bob Costas is probably the most famous alumni to come out of there. He was a little after my time, and that was a great experience. But yeah, it was just high school was great, and I wish I'd embraced it more. I wish I'd embraced England more, though I did get to see a lot of it through scouting and things like that, a lot of the countryside. But yeah, what's a fax machine? I don't know. Hey, Michael, what's up? Michael Riley, we mentioned his name. His name comes up on the show once in a while. So that's it. I'm in the final leg now. I'm on the upper deck of 183. I'm gonna make it. If I don't slam into this Honda Accord, I'm just about to make it. Yeah, British culture. I don't know. I only got a few excursions into London. Here's another thing about our high school, which was kind of weird. Kelly, you could speak to this. My senior year, only one student had a car. I think the driving age was like 18. Nobody had a car. Nobody. There was one, I think, Debbie Call had a yellow, if I remember, a yellow Volkswagen Bug. It had these stupid duck stickers on the side of it. And she was the only person that I can remember that had her own car in the entire high school, if you can imagine that. We walked to school from our homes on base, and really no car was needed, especially because you had to go in and out of the security and things like that. And we were somewhat removed, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 miles from London. So we were kind of out in the rural part of England. But it's a beautiful place, and I hope I can go back there and spend more time. I did London last year, but I'd like to get back out in the countryside. I'd like to go to Scotland because I've never seen that. And Mike Alford had a car. I had a story of Mike Alford. We had a little scrape at a soccer game that we were playing against each other, and kind of some things you never forget. So if anyone knows Mike Alford, tell him I remember the time he threw sand or dirt in my eyes after we fell to the ground during a soccer match. That was kind of dirty. I remember. Elephant never forgets. Whose car? What? Whoa! Are we related? Help me out. I'm a little spacey. I don't know if I have a relative that I don't. Is there a relative? I know we've maybe spoken before. Yeah, Mike Alford, LOL. It's a little thing. I don't know why certain memories just stick with you, and then you forget. Like you live years of your life, and whole years you can't remember anything that you did, but you'll have one stupid memory, and mine is getting dirt thrown in my face in a soccer game. It's all right though. I'm sure I did stuff to other people too. I don't know. Okay, I'm making the final turn. Listen, let's keep talking, let's keep living, let's look up, take a look at the clouds, and let's get connected to the universe. And I don't know how we're going to get through this thing. I don't know who's going to help me get through this thing while I'm trying to help others, but we're going to do it. It's going to happen. Matthew McConaughey, he'll help us. Tell him to give me a call. I need him. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it. All right, have a good Wednesday. And thank the people out there that are working for you and going to work and making our lives possible right now. All right? Peace.